Hello, everyone, and welcome to our CSGO podcast, 808s and BFake. I'm Jack,
I am Tom.
and the namesake of our podcast is Problematic.
Yeah, no. He's had a bit of a mare.
Yeah, the incredible thing is that people don't like Kanye came out and met with Donald Trump the day after the election 2 years ago, and people kind of kept that in the back of their minds, but they didn't really address it. They were just kind of pretending. Does Kanye really like Trump though? And he came back on Twitter and he was like, oh yeah, he does. And it's kind of not surprising because you know, rich guys like rich guys, and
Well, sorry, go on.
people driven by ego also people driven by ego.
Yeah, I legitimately think that he sees another guy who is outspoken and very confident, and he loves it. And that's the main reason he got onto it. And then a couple people have said this point, but the problem with Kanye is if you tell him to stop doing something, he will just keep doing it and then do it more so. So when people are like, "You should stop being friends with Trump," that in his head, that just pushes him in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, he's like, don't tell me what to do, John Legend. You're trying. What was it? What was the line? You're trying to do this as a scare tactic or like a fear tactic.
He's like, "I love you, John Legend, but no one tells me what to do."
Fuck.
Like his marriage must be fun.
Yeah, Kim fucking told him, hey man, what are you doing?
But the direction I think we should look at this is that as a podcast dedicated with a segment dedicated to pulling in listeners, I think we can get behind a guy who is doing anything to get more album sales.
Absolutely. So, here's the thing. We have to either renounce Kanye or confirm that we are a free-thinking podcast. So, I th
I mean, I would sell out for viewers, so I think I'm a free thinker.
I believe so too. In fact, I freely think that I should just be handed my degree and not have to take any finals. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, that sounds solid to me, honestly.
Yeah. All right.
Don't let the man tell you how to learn.
Exactly. I'm a free thinker. I'm a free learner too. And since I'm a free learner, I also should not have to pay for college.
Yeah, I'm for that. I want that Bernie Sanders for everything for free.
That's right.
I'm a
I love Donald
millennial.
Trump, but I also love Bernie Sanders. But I'm a free thinker, so it all makes sense. I have a coherent worldview.
Yeah, don't let anyone tell you can only vote for one person. All right, that's bullshit.
All right, let's start talking about some CS. So, IEM Sydney happened this weekend. We didn't make any predictions last podcast because A, we were too dumb to think about it, and B, the podcast was like an hour and 45 minutes. So we thought, maybe we shouldn't go too long.
Yeah. Also, everyone would have known exactly what we were gonna say.
This is true.
The only thing that would have been a surprise is I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing any predictions because the two Australian teams that I was like putting down as my like teams to watch did damage. So, but apart from that, like everyone knows we would have just picked Australis, which anyone who was watching the last tournament would have done.
Yeah. All right. So unfortunately, we have to start off at the top here because FaZe won the tournament.
Yeah, and it was. I still don't know how I feel about FaZe, man. Like,
It was a real surprise because they did not go into that final looking in great form. Like Ty Lue took a map off them. Pretty much all their series except Fnatic and Cloud9 were 2-1s. I mean, they smashed Order, but they should have.
but even then, like looking at FaZe, like, because yeah, they smashed Order in the first round, which like no, nothing. Weirdly enough, with some of the upsets of this, nothing happened in the best of ones really, except for SK. But yeah, then they lose 2-1 to Renegades, which is scary. And they beat Greyhounds 2-1, but honestly, in the two maps that they won, they were both 16-10s, but there was like a couple crucial economy rounds that FaZe won towards the end that really turned it in their favor. Like I really think they could have lost either of those two and gone out of the tournament. Yeah, they what was this? Yeah, they kind of smashed C9. Fnatic they beat down, like even though there was that comeback. So it was a really inconsistent land from FaZe, and even in their wins, they didn't look super convincing. Like it was only the final where they really hit elite form.
Yeah, and in that final, like they had their perfect win conditions. Like Device and Dupree weren't super impactful. And then their three best players like all had big performances. Like
Yeah.
Rain was getting entries left and right on Cash. I was so mad watching that Cash map, watching Rain just keep getting like tons of entries through smokes. It was so infuriating. And and then like Guardian was a fucking beast in the final though. Like absolute monster. He really dominated Device, and I think that's a big reason why they won.
I think though, you can count on Guardian because I certainly like I'm ready to drop the take that like he's the MVP and I think he's the best player on FaZe. Like I think he's better than Nico because I trust in Guardian, especially in like finals. I will trust in Guardian ahead of Nico.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to make right now. Like Guardian's an incredible impact player. He's the best opera in the world right now. I don't think that's up for dispute, especially
Because
after like all the final like the big finals performances he had. He's the only one who showed up to the fucking major final, that's for sure.
when they go through the teams earlier in the tournament, they don't need Nico. Like Nico has good games, but they don't need him. When they win finals, when they win big games, they need Guardian, and it's because of him that they win. Like Nico's a great, like an excellent player, but I think Guardian's the best, like most impactful and the best player. Like going through this tournament, they were probably pretty neck and neck for the MVP, but like just because he dropped like what is like 90 frags in the final, something like that. Like yeah, it's hands down Guardian, and it wasn't just that; it was that they were big, impactful rounds. Like he would just do insane shit and win rounds single handedly.
Yeah, he'd win. Like there was this one clutch on Cash where he was in a 1v2 sitting at what's the thing called? God, it's like it's triple, right? Like the thing back or what's that? Oh, it's quad. Yeah, he was at quad,
Yeah,
and he like hit these two insane. Like he hit this one flick on Glaive, I believe, and then he just hits like the nuttiest flick on Device when he has like no health, and Device just needs one bullet to kill him. I was so
mm,
mad. Like
yeah,
that final was just me like getting so mad that Astralis gets so close, and then Phaser just going the fuck off. So what can you do? Like it just felt like that entire final, even though like that was the closest 3-0 ever, by the way. Like every single
yeah.
one went to 30 or overtime.
Yeah,
And it
I
just
was I think it was yeah like double like overtime map one, double overtime map two, 16-14 map three. Like I think in that best of five, it could have been a 3-0 or a 3-2 to either team. It was so fucking close. Like I feel robbed as a viewer that we didn't get five maps, to be honest. Like it's a shame that that went 3-0. Like we should have gotten a longer series.
yeah. I mean I still think FaZe probably win it on the dust too. Just because they were going off that game, that series. And like I don't
Yeah,
think
but
that at the
Strauss look good, man.
I mean they did, but the problem is like I don't think you can win a series when like Magus and Zip are your best players, especially against a FaZe team that is going off like that. Like you needed
Yeah.
Device and Dupree really shit the bed this final. Like he was really bad.
Because I mean, like Astralis are really good on Dust 2 against mouse sports, like, and they had little tricks and shit that makes me think that they've gone pretty like or reason more in depth on that map than most of the other teams. Like they had a smoke ready for that boost on. I fucking it's been too long, I don't remember, but those boxes in like CT spawn when you're doing a mid to B, they had like smokes ready to cover all that shit.
Oh
Like
damn.
yeah, Astralis look fucking legit on that map against like they destroyed mouse sports on it. And I think that they're gonna be a really good Dust 2 team just based off the little things I saw. Like and obviously we can't know because I haven't played enough of it, but as much as you can tell off that small sample size. And the map that they didn't play was Inferno, which could have gone either way. Like I think we got like a really close series, but yeah, that could have gone either direction. But it's not to me it's not super damning for Astralis because
No, it's not.
I look at these two things and it's like the big conditions that helped FaZe as well is like we can't expect huge clutches and plays from existing Carrigan, which we got. You can't expect so many low percentage plays to come off, which they had. And though they are particularly excellent at closing rounds, you can't expect them to close out rounds this well all the time in like 3v3s, 2v3s, and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Whereas it felt like on some of those maps, like especially towards the end of Train, they were just winning every close round.
yeah, that was. I actually turned the Train game off. I was fucking sick to my stomach once. Like Straws got to 14 rounds, and like I knew they were gonna blow it. Like I just fucking knew it.
Because I didn't like the narrative that Astralis choked that
Oh
game,
no, they did.
because
Like they didn't.
I don't think they did. Like I saw a lot of people saying that, but like the only map where they dropped like a good position was on Train. And the thing about Train is like even if you're up by a fair amount, if you lose that T pistol and then you lose some of those early gun rounds, like getting entries against a confident rolling good CT side on Train is fucking so hard. Like, remember those when Astralis and SK were back in when Astralis first started coming up, they were both really good on Train, and they would both be putting up like 11 round CT halves on each other, and it would always come down to like a 16-13, 16-14, or like overtime or whatever, because they're both insane at the map, which means you have lockdown as fuck CT sides. So I don't think it reminds me of Nuke back in the day, where it's about having, if you're really good on that map, you can have this sort of thing where it's about not slipping up on CT side and just racking up as many rounds as you can.
Yeah. Like I guess like it is really weird that people said they choked because like they like brought it back so many times like during this. It was a really back and forth map for each map except Train.
Yeah, you could have, like, a team who was choking would have like fucking lost it when they were down to FaZe. Like if a team with a weak mentality like that would have lost when FaZe had their good starts on the first two maps.
Yeah, and didn't both those maps go to like double OT as well in that
The
first?
second one did, and the first one was just one OT, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
But I I'll say that I don't think this is going to be the FaZe we see in the future. Like,
I
I don't
don't.
think that they're fixed. I think this is everything going right for them, and they have an insane lineup. But
Yeah,
I think the issues are still there, because there's stuff like on Train CT side, Exist is playing B, and he walks into a smoke, and then with like 4 or 5 Astralis players there, he somehow walks out at the perfect timing that none of them see them, and he kills 2 and drops the bomb. And it's like stuff like that. Like, that's not something you can count on. And Exist and Carrigan were doing that shit quite a bit. Like, you can get it from Rain when he's in form. Sometimes Nico, like, you can get it to some degree from Guardian, but like those guys, you don't expect them to make those crazy fucking flank plays constantly and have it go their way so consistently.
yeah. All right. Do you want to switch up and talk about Astralis?
Yeah, because I think, yeah, the only other point I had on FaZe kind of links into it, which is that where if they can pull it together, which is definitely possible, we can have a really cool dynamic if these two teams peak at the same time, because we sort of tend to go up and down in the scene between skill-based lineups and
Tactical lineup.
tactical lineups. And this FaZe team, if they can keep it up, then we can have two teams peaking at the same time in those two regards. And even looking at this way, with them peaking and Astralis having a couple of their key individuals, Device and Dupree, not playing that well, it was still incredibly close.
Yeah, that's why I
Like, I
think.
don't think this is a back to the drawing board for Astralis. This is like improve based on what you got from this series and then come back again.
Yeah, yeah. Let's going into Astralis. Like aside from the final, they had a dominant tournament. Like looking at this, the only map they dropped this tournament to which by the way broke a 14 map win streak was like an overtime loss on Inferno to Mouse.
Yeah. And Maus aren't a good Inferno team, but they're very good at that sort of map, if that makes sense, where you can grind out just through crazy individual plays.
Yeah, and that's what they did. They won a ton of economy breaking rounds in that first half, which got them like 8 rounds on CT side, I think. Or is it 8T rounds? Let me check.
But yeah, like a lot of things, it was it was kind of more the same for Astralis, where they're so good at coming back from those situations like that, where a team is on top of them or hits like a really big economic round, and a lot of teams falter there. But yeah, I think they really strolled through. Like the first time they played Mouse, they destroyed them. Then when they played Fnatic, they beat them down. Then when they play Mouse again, they blew them out on both of the maps they won. Like, I still think this is the best team in the world. But even though they lose that final, and I'd probably take them to win the next event. I'm not sure if it's ECS or ESL Pro League finals. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of a shame that they went down like that, because I
yeah,
think they probably deserve to, not deserve, that's the wrong way to put it. It's more like if you play this series 100 times, on like 100 different days, I think Astralis probably win like more, like if a decent bit more than FaZe do.
probably like 70%.
I'd say yeah, at least like 65 to 70. Like I just think it's too, it's it's as cynical as it sounds, like, because it is very entertaining to watch these individual plays. Like a part of me dies every time FaZe beat an informed tactical team, because there's something like, it takes away a bit of the beauty of CS in the sense that like it's meant to be that you can overcome these loose teams by playing the right way and playing fundamentally sound Counter-Strike. And I think there is definitely something very appealing in that pure just chemistry that FaZe seem to have and the way that they play as a unit. Um, but yeah, I think going forward that'll be a great matchup, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see if this was just a one-off, like, because because that team is still flawed. If you look at the rest of their tournament run, that team still has some issues that they need to work out. Like, just because your three best players win off in the final doesn't mean that that's replicatable.
Yeah,
However,
like they were so close to going out to fucking Greyhounds, like
yeah.
they're not doing well.
However, it's time for me to make a big ol' excuse. So, so at this event, actually before this, at the end of the year, Device was hospitalized and had to miss the Boston major. And like we were kind of in the dark for a lot of this until this event. After the semi, like right before the final, Device posted a twit longer where he let out that he'd been diagnosed with IBS, which is inflammatory bowel syndrome. So basically, like he was going through bouts of like diarrhea, not nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, like throughout the entirety of it, and apparently it flared back up in Sydney. And as someone who also suffers from IBS, let me tell you, untreated IBS is like the least fun was like the least fun experience of my life. I sat on a fucking toilet during the summer after I graduated high school for like a month straight because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And man, that was awful. I want to relive that and just say, go to the fucking doctor, you idiot.
Yeah, it's the problem with these, when we have like health issues and injuries and stuff in CS:GO, is it's so hard to quantify them into analysis because we don't know how much that affects them. Like I will say, because like the to the point where he missed like the signing day Astralis had, like he definitely like seemed to have health issues, so I give him a bit of a break. And I don't like, again, like I don't think he was bad. Like I think Dupree was worse in the final, and
Yeah,
the part of
because
that comes down to he is the entry player and the aggressive guy, so sometimes it's just not your fucking day. It's same thing happens to Rain sometimes, where he's had a few matches recently where he was god awful, because when you're making those big plays, sometimes it just never goes your way and you get fucked. But Device was okay, and if he truly was really fucked up or whatever, like I can kind of give him a bit of a break, though. You really, like, if not for that, I'd say like that was a bit of a letdown from him, because he really has to show up in a bigger way.
yeah, like he had a pretty good overpass game. Like he did fucking whiff a shot on Nico in that really big 1v3 that he won. But like other than that, he had a pretty good map. But then the other two, like he just wasn't there. Like
Yeah,
on cash he almost went like 007 or something. Like he
yeah,
had a really bad start to that cash map and like kind of grew into the game as it went on, but he never really had that like I'm gonna take over the game moment in any of the maps really.
Yeah. Like he had a period on Cash where he was pretty good, but then yeah, for overall he wasn't. There wasn't enough from him there.
Yeah. Moving forward, you just think that Astralis need to take what they learned from this and get better, I guess. Like it is nice that they kind of had this moment though, because like I think they're gonna come out a better team on the other side.
Yeah, because you can learn from some of it. Is a bit of that where like you look at the demo and they're they're a better team than they were then, but it reminds me of when they lost that semifinal at Krakow and watching those demos back and just being like, I don't know how you watch these demos and then be like, this is what we should have done at a lot of those points, because it's like I don't know how you compete against some of this shit. Like I don't know how you like what you're supposed to do when a guy makes a really low percentage play and it works, and it's like, 'cause you can't have that much shit going on in your head. You can't constantly be trying to prevent like the most obscure plays.
Yeah.
Like unless you're playing against fucking Tyloo, like you can't do that shit, because then against Tyloo you can ignore the obvious plays.
All right. Actually, do you want to just segue into Tyloo because like they were actually good this tournament.
Oh yeah, for the sake of segues, let's go to Tyloo.
All right. Tyloo have changed the way they play for the better, honestly. Bentet, I think is how you pronounce it. An Indonesian player has taken over the in-game leading role, which on the surface seems kind of weird because Chinese is not spoken that much in Indonesia. But
Yeah.
they played. Tyloo were kind of known for just like making big dick plays. Like they are the epitome of GB James's make a play that gets your dick hard, but all the time.
Mm.
And now they've slowed it down. Now they play like slower defaults, like especially on Inferno. Like they're a pretty good Inferno team right now. I think that's their like wild card ace map right now.
Yeah, they were pretty fucking legit at this tournament. But yeah, I wouldn't touch them on Inferno, to be honest. I wouldn't give them that map because they look really fucking decent, and I think they're still a work in progress. But the thing about Tyloo that was always weird is so often we wouldn't see them for a couple months, and they would go to a big LAN, and their style would be like fundamentally different, and their setups would be super fucking different. But this is, out of all the times we've seen them come up, like this is the best they've ever looked.
And
Like
it's the most
this is huge. This edition of fucking young fucking Benjamin Tennyson has been
Tedison.
like, oh yeah, fuck, I couldn't remember his name.
Come on, it
But
can't make that much sense.
but he was like, yeah, he was fucking great. Like, cause he's come up and he's their best player and he's in-game leading. Like, he was phenomenal through the start of the tournament. Like,
Absolutely. He
they
really surprised
straight
me.
up just like beating SK, then 2-0 in Cloud9 pretty decent, like in a pretty, that was close, but
Handedly.
still 2-0. And then they 2-0'd very confidently in inform Renegades. And
Yes.
again, yeah, taking a map off face, like, and making the semis for this team is fucking huge.
Yeah, and this is also like the most replicatable form of CS that they've played.
Yeah. And I think it's only going to get better because they looked a little bit like they weren't quite comfortable playing the slower kind of CS that they did, but like they would lose the clock a few times or fuck it up. But like as their first LAN against proper teams playing in Bentet's system, like I'm it's a bright future. Like this team looks like they could be heading towards their best ever form. And on top of that, Xcurate, one of their better players, usually had a pretty awful LAN, but this was his first big LAN as a player, so I assume he's only going to be better going into the future.
Yeah, hopefully they get more chances to compete internationally.
This is the first time I've ever agreed with that sentiment. Usually I'm just fucking sick of watching this team get destroyed, but yeah, I'd like to see more of this.
All right, let's go to fraud sports, aka mouse
Yeah,
sports.
yeah. Since like I think we said before, the premise of this podcast is we're trying to be like undisputed, but we're both Shannon Sharp. And because of that, we've been trying to push this nickname fraud sports onto them, because that's what mouse sports are. They're just, I think they're a fraud because they're being they're being put up as this tier 1 team who were going to take on and be one of these contenders for the best team in the world. But I, like me, and I think you're the same as well, only saw them as nothing more than a placeholder for when someone else decides to be good again.
Yeah,
Because like even out of those 3 teams that stepped up to some degree in that absence, which was, I say, Liquid, Fnatic, and Mouse, probably, I think they were the least likely to stay there.
yeah, I agree. They're just too reliant on like people go like even more so than FaZe. They're more reliant on just like multiple of their members going off. And the worst part is like supposedly their best player Oscar is also
Mm.
their most inconsistent.
Yeah, you can't have that. Like, you absolutely cannot have, like, he's inconsistent, and they, to some degree, because they have a shit map pool, they can't fall back on just running like fundamental like default rounds that are going to get kills to their better players. Like, they're so reliant on these individual plays. And yeah, Oscar is like, I can't remember if I've said it before on the podcast, but I have this idea of, this is like a rough blueprint of how you should run your like 3 stars. Is you want one guy who is like super volatile, one guy who is very consistent, one guy who's kind of in between. But you don't want your volatile guy to be your best player, because if you can't rely on your best player to consistently put up stats, like, that's an issue. And this guy sometimes has horrendous maps. Like, he was 0-9 against
Astralis.
on their map pick elimination map against Astralis. He goes 0-0-9 off the start. Like, that's just not good enough. Like, people put him up as a superstar talent, but if you put the standards that are put on Coldzera, Nico, Device, Guardian, like all these superstar players, he doesn't meet them at all. Like, he's a good player. Like, I think he's a really good player, but you're not playing for fucking where, like, you're not playing for the shitty mouse sports anymore. You're trying to play for a team who wants to be tier 1. Like, it's not enough.
Yeah, they're just like the upper echelon of tier two. Like again,
Yeah,
this is the same thing. Their best chances make a semis. Like in any normal scene, which I think we're gonna eventually converge to. Like their best bet is making a semis. Like they're just
yeah.
gonna be a perennial top 8 team. That's what
The
it's
other
always
thing I'd
felt
say
like.
as well is the things people are saying about Chris J are fucking insane. Like, people are backing him as an in-game leader and as a player, and I think he's found a good use for himself as a player. He's found some spots that he can play to a good degree. Like, he's very serviceable on B side Inferno. He's very decent at Mirage. Like, he's had some very good games playing that short of Mirage as a CT.
He's
But
also pretty decent on train too.
that's true, yeah. But he is not a good in-game leader. Like, he is doing
No.
his best as a guy who's not meant to be an in-game leader. And like, I give him huge credit for that, because that is not an easy role. But you still, like, you're trying to be tier 1, so we have to criticize that he's not a particularly good in-game leader. Because you look at their setups, and I was watching their demos from this LAN, and on Inferno they lost the pistol on CT side, and then against Astralis, and then against, I'm trying to remember who the other team was, but they did the exact same eco strategy, and it worked the first time, and then the second time it just got shut the fuck down because people watch demos. It's 2018. Like, you can't do that. You can't, like, just do the exact same strategy. Like, they're loose like FaZe, but it's in a shallow way. Whereas like FaZe have facets to their game because their players mix it up and do enough that it's hard to predict them. Whereas like I just see this team, they're so surface deep. Like, if you stop their plan A, like, that's it. There's nothing left.
Yeah, that's a good point about the different facets of FaZe. Like one thing that they don't get enough credit for is like that lineup is stacked with veterans. There's
Yeah.
so many like just veterans of so many lands on that team. Like Kerrigan, Exist, Guardian, Rain, they've all been around forever. And like I'd even say
Mhm.
fucking Nico's a veteran right now. Like he's only been
Yeah,
playing on
definitely.
land for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like that's more experience than fucking Sunny and Rops have.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing about like mouse sports, is they don't look like that. And like, Chris J is a veteran. Like, he's been around for ages, but he doesn't look like there's always been this concept in CS of players and in-game leaders having a strat or a round or a trick they can go to that'll net them around or to get them these like crucial 2 kills or something like that. And I think someone like FaZe or Astralis or Fnatic, like a lot of those players, save for when you're playing against a really good team, they have those little tricks and shit. Whereas I don't think mouse sports have that. They don't. It looks like you just got a bunch of like mad fraggers together and just like sellotaped them all into like a team.
Yeah. One of the things that they've talked about on Mouse is that their coach has a really big role in calling strats, and like
Yeah.
he'll just call strats at the beginning of the round. But the problem is like calling that strat at the beginning of the round like kind of gets you tunnel visioned in on that round. Like you don't have the information to change the play, make a different mid round call. Like that's gonna fall on Chris J. And like unless they get a pick or like the information that they were looking for that strat lines up, they're in deep shit.
And you know what? Because at DreamHack events, I believe you can talk between rounds, whereas at if I'm pretty sure that's correct. Whereas at these ESL ones, you can't. So that might explain why they didn't look as strategically good at this LAN. Because yeah, the LMBT has some good fucking like setups and strats, and I like the set pieces he puts into that team, but he needs an in-game leader who can be like his vessel into the game, like how Nitro is kind of Zeus's like you can kind of see Zeus behind him like pulling the fucking strings with some of the calls and that sort of thing. And I don't think Chris J is that to LMBT.
Yeah, I just think like this is kind of the end for like Mouse at that fraud tier 1 status that they have. I
Yeah.
think they're eventually coming back. I think they're going to come back to Earth very soon.
And they might not even necessarily get worse. It's just the water's rising above them and they're shit at swimming.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Fnatic then. I mean, what can you really say about Fnatic this tournament? They were they were all right.
It's like, yeah, they're fine. Like it's similar-ish to their last one. Like it was just kind of what you expected. Like they're a decent team. Like they're gonna beat the teams that are they beat the teams that are worse than them. They'll lose to the teams who are better than them. They lost to Astralis and FaZe. They beat G2 and Chiefs. Like, eh. I like this team. Like I think they're performing at a decent level for what they have. Like,
Yeah, they're like the Indiana Pacers.
yeah,
They were a fun first round matchup for the Cavs. Like they pushed them 7. Like they can push teams. But it's just like right now, if FaZe are in form or like if they face Astralis, like they're not going to be able to do it.
yeah.
They're
It's the
just not
kind of
good
team where
enough.
you'd have to make a roster move before you could ask for more from them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I do like this. It is a bit of a shame that Crims is having his prime wasted. But the problem is like Flush is not gonna turn up to like as consistently as you need him to be like a real big threat. And you've already got JW who's pretty inconsistent. Though he has improved, I'll say. Like I think JW last 2 lands has had a lot more impact.
Yeah,
But
he was quite good at
yeah,
this LAN, honestly.
yeah, I think there's not much you can really say for this team. Like Golden's still doing an okay, like a good job. Like, it's yeah, they perform to par, which is I don't actually know what position they
They
finished, but
got
just
top 8.
remembering. Okay, then yeah, that's decent. Like for
Actually,
them,
no,
semis is good,
they got
quarterfinals is good.
yeah, they got 5th to 6th, I believe.
Okay, yeah, then I'd say it's a good land for them, to be honest. I was only just remembering the games they played. Yeah, I think they did okay. Like it's definitely acceptable. Like it's not a like fuck crisis mode sort of thing.
Yeah. However, a team that is not in fuck crisis mode is Renegades, because they fucking showed up. They had a really good LAN.
Yes, it took so long.
uh,
Like I'm so
uh,
happy
uh,
about this.
yeah, yeah, no, I can tell. But finally, Nifty haters back off. He dropped 50. I didn't go back and watch that game. But like I really should have, because apparently from what I heard, like he was hitting absolutely like banana shots.
Dude, he was phenomenal in that Inferno game against Mouse. Like I grabbed those stats that HLTV Peter put out. So he had in his 51 kills he got in 48 rounds. In the 25 rounds that Renegades won, he was 43 kills and 5 deaths with 152 ADR, 15 multi kills, and 9 opening kills.
And that's primarily
Like
with an op. Like
insane,
having an ADR
fucking
that
insane.
high with an op is bananas.
Yeah, this like that was fucking like yeah, that was the game of his career. But like I didn't want to say to because I spoke to the Nifty fans and them overrating him. I would just like to apologize for absolutely nothing because where the fuck was he against FaZe? -22 bottom frag the series. Where the fuck was he when they got 2-0'd by Tyloo and passed up a fucking semi-final spot? Where was he on the other 2 maps of that series that he apparently MVP'd, but he was like okay on one map and shit on the other one? Like the point my point with him isn't that he's bad, it's that he is using one of the most crucial guns and the most expensive gun, and he's not a star player. Like he's not playing like a star player even though he has the talent. And then people say okay, but he's in-game leading, but I don't think he's particularly doing a fantastic job as an in-game leader. Like I think this team is too conservative a lot of the time with their economy. Like the main thing I saw with them was on Inferno, I can't remember which game it was. They did this a few times in one of the Inferno maps they played, where they would be on CT side and they would be on an eco and they would have a good run and they would kill some guys, get some guns, and they would have like 2 guys with M4s and armors, and in a 2v2 against the T's, and the T's would like be on the B side and they would save, and it's like you were ecoing and you'd be able to buy next round. Why are you saving? Just fucking go for it. Like I don't understand this. Like I don't know who you're trying to impress with this like Counter-Strike purists mentality. You know, like
Yeah, like you do have to take like in this game you do have to take risks. Like it's just the pistols are too good. You have to take risks in this game.
yeah. And we've applauded teams for playing the right way in terms of economy. Like I think and believing in their gun rounds, but there's some situations where you still have to take risk, especially when you have players like Azur or JKS, and Nifty himself. Like they're guys who can do insane things and guys who might have confidence issues, but are also really good in those situations. Like in clutch situations, retakes, they're fucking really solid. Like at JKS as well. Like I think JKS was their best player at this LAN. I'll say
Yeah,
like
he
he
had
kind of
some
got overshadowed by Nifty, but I think JKS was really fucking solid.
yeah, like he had some real stinker maps, but like at the same time, like he was definitely their most consistent player. And
Yeah,
like he's really been their most consistent player. Like I don't think that's really up for debate
yeah.
unless you know you never watch Renegades.
Like I the one and there was that whole controversy about the end of that fuck it was against Mouse Sports on Train where they lost that 1v2 to Sunny, and like which one of those guys fucked it up. And I want to say both of them fucked it up. Like both of them could have won the round, Jacob and JKS, and they both like JKS kills 3 guys in this insane play, and then he's falling behind the train and he sees Sunny on top of the train, and instead of he's like pretty much half behind it, but instead he comes back out and fights Sunny instead of just falling behind the train, and he would have won if he did that. Jacob then just runs out as soon as the smoke's on the fucking bomb and dies. Like they both fucked it up and they should have won that game.
And additionally, like you talked about like that save, right? Where they just didn't kill
Yeah.
him. Like at the when it was 14-14, they didn't chase the guns.
Yeah, that Maui Snake tweeted out that point where yeah they could have chased him, which is another thing. That's the other reason they're too conservative. Like there, it's they could have chased. They had the money to buy in the next round. They had plenty of money, but they didn't try and stop those guns. And one of those guns was an AWP. And naturally, as everyone knows, like an AWP on Mouse Sports is fucking worth its weight in gold because that's where they get most of their openings for, especially on CT side.
Yeah, like no. Here's the thing: if it's mouse sports and they have an op and a bunch of shit guns, they're like guaranteed to win the round. Like book it.
Yeah, they do, like, that's one thing I will give them credit for in terms of their strats, is they're very good at working around just one guy with an AWP and just making him useful. But I think a lot of that's LMBT as well, because he's gonna, if they call timeouts or have a plan for that, like, they're gonna know what I think they know what they're gonna do if they can just get a single AWP up onto Oscar or Chris J.
Or like even if not, like they've probably drilled it a bunch.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, is like renegades don't look drilled, like, in some regards, because you have to get that decision making into your players. Like, though, like, some of the mistakes that these players made at this tournament, in big moments, like, and it's kind of weird because guys like JKS was fucking insane in some of the big moments of this tournament. Then he would just make some mistakes for no reason. Like, not as bad as like Jacob. Like, Jacob actually had a pretty rough tournament, but yeah, it was a bit of a shame. Like, you expect more from guys who've been around for a fair while.
All right, do you want to switch over to G2 because this G2 team needs to fucking die.
Yeah, blow it up, fam.
Yeah, like Mixwell was talking about, like, um, let me find this tweet. I linked it in this podcast channel.
Yeah, I remember you talking about the like the different quotes he had throughout this tournament and how he's just
Yeah,
losing his mind.
yeah, like Mixwell said, this team feels like you were in a war you should never be a part of. Like that's like this team is at war. Like Jacob,
That's
like
a red
Mixwell just fucking said it up front. Like I think it's pretty clear at this point that Kenny S doesn't want to be in this team right now, and I think he's regretting like not just like bailing with shocks.
Yeah, I respect Kenny for doing the thing where he's like, look, we put it to a vote, they voted for this, I'm gonna stay with it. Because honestly, he could have, like, Ocelot is a smart guy. Like, he knows that you side with Kenny and Shocks if they come to you and say we want to make a change. You side with your franchise players because you just have to. But you can tell he's kind of got one foot out the door. He's not sold on this team because he's kind of been inconsistent since these moves. But yeah, I think we're getting closer and closer to Shoxy Dream Team.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, man. Like this team is eventually going to fall apart, and it's probably going to fall apart at that exact moment that Shocks and Existence like announce their roster, because they've been in the lab, they've been cooking, and Existence smells what they're cooking. Sorry, Kenny smells what they're cooking, and he wants in.
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't get some mess where he's stuck in this team or whatever. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like there's going to be contracts if Ocelot decides to just sign up Existence and then sell off the other players.
Yeah, because like
So,
they'll be in
yeah,
demand. Like I'm sure, like hopefully, phase one MBK. Hopefully,
yeah.
it's like I don't really want to see NBK on like a shit French team. Like that'd be
Yeah,
kind of a
I think Son
waste.
will take him. There's just too many. He's just too many. He's just too good and too experienced to not, like, land on his feet. The other thing about this team that, like, okay, so I get that MBK had to build them from the ground up again in his own system, but is it not terrifying that they're picking Dust 2 in every series that they're able to? Because that doesn't say to me that you're well prepared. That says to me that you decided to jump on this map and hope that you were the best team at this map because you practiced it harder, and they're not even that good at it.
Yeah, like that was really damning for them.
I will say Mixwell was a bit better.
Yeah,
Was
like
nothing special, but definitely better than he was before.
yeah, because he was absolute dog shit and didn't look like he knew what he was doing in this team. And like
Yeah.
they've ironed some of those kinks out, but still, like Kenny's supposed to be your best player, and if he doesn't want to fucking play for you, you're not gonna win games. You're not gonna go deep in tournaments.
Yeah. If you're getting walked over by Mouse Sports with this lineup and this experience, like, I just don't think it's good enough.
No,
Like, I'm just tired. I'm like,
I
I'm
am
tired,
weary.
Robbie. Like, I'm tired of watching G2 play. Like, I'm just sick of the French not being good. It's such a waste of so much talent. Like, you can't, like, we've gone past the point where you can split Kenny and Shocks up. Like, there's too many good teams. Just put them together and get them a fucking in-game leader. I don't care who else is on that team. Like, fucking, we will play as the support players for that team, and they will still be good because those two are fucking insane. Just
We will Rosetta Stone learn French just to play with our idols. God damn it.
I can drop any gun in the buy menu within 2 seconds.
You want a
Like,
Negev? Sure. I'll just run a USP armor. No big deal.
Yeah,
Oh wait, no, Negevs aren't expensive anymore. God damn it.
oh yeah, that's true. M249.
That's
This
right.
game fucking sucks.
God damn it. Fucking Valve, man. All right,
Yeah, like Ocelot, fucking pull the trigger, bud.
just
I
do it.
love you, but pull the trigger.
Or just
Take him out back. Get that rabid monster that is MBK. Take him out back and just fucking
choke him with
get
your
him.
scarf.
It's the end. It's over.
Choke him with
Yeah,
your scarf. All right.
yeah. I was leaning towards the old yellow shotgun, but no, yeah, I prefer just kill him with your scarf, just whilst whispering, just like, shh, it's over. It's over now. Shh, quiet. Let it go.
All
I'm
right.
selling you to mouse sports.
Let's talk about C9 and how badly they need to kick that fucking scrub skadoodle. God
Yeah,
damn.
yeah. I enjoyed how right we were about Skadoodle being the wrong option for this team,
Just
but he
end it
was
already.
terrible at this LAN.
Just end it
He was
already.
fucking terrible. That
Just
is a guy who needs a shotgun in the back of the like to take him out back. He is old yellow right now.
absolutely. Just you can't have a player who has the most expensive weapon who can have that much impact on the game just be dog shit. You can't have it.
Yeah. And
We're gonna
otherwise,
get
I
to this
like
for a
this team.
we're gonna get to this for a different player in a different team who's also had times where he's been nuts. But that we're saving that. Oh baby. But anyways, yeah, boot Skadoodle from this team, and I will be interested to watch them because Tarek and
Yeah.
Rush were pretty good.
Dude, I like this team a lot. Like you look at the other pieces, and like if you move Skadoodle, and it's like, all right, so if you got Tarek and Automatic, you build your team around those two stars, and then Rush as a role guy and entry is great because he's
Yeah,
gonna have those games where he goes off and wins you games, such as like he won them that game over, was it Greyhound? No, it was Order. Like they should have lost to Order, and he had these insane two clutches, one in like match point and one at over in overtime that won them that game. Like they should not have won that game.
yeah, Rush is Apex Light pretty much.
Yeah. And FNS has done a good job. Like I think he's fragging okay, and the team definitely looks better as a unit. But I think yes, Skadoodle has to go. Like there's so many options who would kill to get into this team, but they keep Skadoodle. Like imagine being them and looking across right now. Like Nifty would have been so much more gettable before this land, but now if like they have a good result, he has a great performance. The team's like more confident. JKS is back online. Azer's confident. Like if you go across and try and get him now, he's gonna cost more. He doesn't want to force the move as much. Like sitting on Skadoodle looked like an okay decision, but it might be a mistake in the end.
I mean, I don't think either of us thought it was an okay decision. Like this
I
guy,
thought it was okay in the sense where it's like give it a chance because maybe you can do something, but I didn't think it would because this guy doesn't have the motivation. He doesn't have that killer instinct, the Mamba mentality. Like he lacks that, and I fucking please just end it. Like you just got smashed by FaZe. Like FaZe don't give a fuck about you anymore. The team that you're their worst nightmare, like a fucking few months ago, they don't give a fuck. Like
yeah, they're just gonna frag your ass out the server now. Like Guardian is just gonna kill you every round. Like you need an op answer. Even if it's not like the op doesn't have to be your best player because Automatic and Tarek are pretty good. Like
yeah,
they can get you to the occasional semifinal. Like you can be a top tier 2 team right now. But you just need an opera that can give you something. Like Skadoodle ranges from being like a fair to middling op player to being absolute dog shit. And you can't have that from your opera. If you're gonna have a fair to middling opera, he needs to be fair to middling all the time and have the occasional game where like he goes off. And you're not gonna get that from Skadoodle. You're just not.
yeah. It's such like it's one of those slam dunk moves you see in the scene every so often. Like I just kick him, like just fucking end it. It's time. Maybe sell him to NRG. He can probably do a fine job on there and steal Cirque.
Yeah. Speaking of NRG and the three ring circus, haha, great jokes.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh, that'll come back later in something
yeah,
somehow.
that'll be the podcast title. I'm kidding.
No, but that will link into something later. But yeah, NRG.
Yeah, NRG, NRG impressed me at this LAN. Like I thought they'd get I thought they'd do it worse, I guess, just because like they never go to LAN. But like they weren't a waste of a spot. Like they were somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, I think it's just like pretty good. This is promising. Like I naturally I'm a bit worried by losing to G2 because like we're really big on like
Dead
shitting on
team.
G2, but that's still a team full of like some skilled players, veterans, like they're still decent. There just should be a lot better. But that overtime, like taking Astralis to overtime on Overpass is really fucking legit. I don't really give a shit that they ran over that Indonesian team, but it was a good showing from NRG. Cirque wasn't online Cirque, but he was still like he didn't look like shook by land. Like he looked good. Like
Yeah,
it's similar to Tyler, where it's like yeah, it's I like seeing this new NRG, and I'd like to see more of them. Promising.
or maybe I'd just like to see Cirque on Cloud9. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd prefer that. I'll take that over more NRG. That
uh,
Shaq money can't keep him.
yeah. I don't really want to talk about MVP. Like I
No,
don't have.
yeah, no, it's fine. Fuck him. They did
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. Fuck the Koreans. You can have every other fucking esport. You can't have CS. This is this
CS
is
is
our
ours for now.
this is our safe space.
Yeah, before they take everything from us.
All right. I'm gonna hand it off to you since you are a certified Aussie citizen. You can talk about the four other Aussie teams.
Yeah, I'll in post we'll just edit the air horn national anthem over the background of this, but this was the best event for Australian CS ever, like hands down. Like I recently got back into Australian CS after like about a year ago, just getting really sad because it was fucking shit and leaving. And we like this is including Renegades. Like this is the best, more success this scene has ever had. Like I wish we did the predictions because I wrote down Order and Greyhounds as like the two teams to watch from Australia, and they both had big showings. Um, so Order, like they lost that phase best of one, but they come in like beat Legacy. Her Legacy are one of the kind of Australian teams. But then they went against C9 and they fucking showed up big. They really should have won. Like you mentioned before, like Cloud9 had those insane plays like on the brink of tournament elimination and just kept them going. Like the guy that I've been bigging up for ages on like Twitter and Discord and all that, like Liaz, like had a fucking great series against C9, like 80 kills, and he wasn't like, and he was just locking down that B site super hard. Like he was guaranteed, like they would not be able to take that site without him taking like two guys unless they killed his teammate and then put a million nades at him. Like and then there was Greyhounds had what do they do? They lost to C9 and then they fucking beat SK, which look SK are a mess, but that's still fucking legit. And they honestly could have 2-1 phase if they had those like a couple economy rounds go their way. I think their main guy was Gratisfaction actually. Like that dude looks fucking legit. Like he looks like a really good opera. Like honestly, if you can't get Sir Cloud9, just fucking like throw some money at this. Like I made the joke even before of like C9 Liaz, like what like that would be a good move, honestly. Like I rate that kid. He said he wants to go international. Like if you moved for either of those players, like to me watching some of these Australian teams, especially when they're doing it against big international squads, it kind of begs the question like why don't teams gamble on them? They speak English, they're from a multicultural area, so it's not like they're gonna, and a very like North American influenced area, like they're gonna culturally come across well. Like Liaz, Gratisfaction, Urka, Sicko, like those guys could get a chance, like even if it's for like a lower tier team. But I wouldn't even care if like C9 went for one of them. Like, and even by extension, there's guys like Hats or Dexter maybe, or like Sterling or Texta, if depending on how they age and that sort of thing. But like I don't know. It looks fucking legit. Like finally, we've got talent and we've got teams playing pretty good CS. Like it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm really happy about this. Like finally, there's teams to fucking care about.
Listen, bud, I'm happy for you.
Also, we get to be one of the best like fringe fucking regions now.
Yeah, take that, Kazakhstan.
Bitch. They won a major though, but
It's fine. You can make your major
that
run of
major
8
didn't
now.
count.
There you go. That's your major.
That's true.
getting
SK
out of
told us
groups.
majors don't matter anymore, so
Ooh, that's true. You just
which
have
is
to.
good because they won't be winning them anytime soon at this rate.
That's absolutely right. SK stinks right now. They stink so bad. They changed their longtime in-game leader Fallen, and now they're gonna make Cold their in-game leader. By the way, I don't hate this move. I
I don't
think
either. Even though a lot of people consider Fallen to be the all-time great, I don't mind.
no, because like Cold Zero is obviously a very intelligent player, and if you're gonna take away Taco and devote less resources to Cold, like him being an like him switching up and being an in-game leader when things aren't going your way at all, like this is a last-ditch move effort before you make a roster move. I don't mind it. However, this means that there's no more fucking excuses for Fallen being awful because he has been awful. Like he doesn't even have those bullshit rounds that we always joke in voice about him making. Like he doesn't even make those anymore. In 2016 when he was like Thorn just put out a really good video today about it. I don't think you watched it because you were busy watching demos, but
Yeah.
he made a really good video about Fallen today, and it was basically uh like he was a star player in 2016, but like not numbers wise. He had always had insane impact. In 2017, he had occasional impact, but like he wasn't a star player, and now he's just bad. And the worst part is like if you're SK and you want a really impact opper, Fallen's your best shot. And if he's not gonna do that or in game lead, what's the point? Like this might be the hottest fucking take of all time, but like there is definitely a possibility where Fallen gets kicked from this SK team. At least, or
Yeah.
it makes sense to kick him from this SK team. Something that I probably would have never thought would happen in 2017.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Like so many people in CS consider him the best in-game leader of all time, which I do not agree with like very strongly, but yeah, it'd be fucking wild, but they have to make this work. And I think it can because Cold as an in-game leader, he's been second calling for a while, and maybe calling around himself, he can get a bit more out of him because honestly, he's been awful recently, Cold Zero, because he's just been putting up okay numbers, and it's like you don't. It's the same thing we're saying about Device in that final. Like when the amount of resources that go into these star players, you have to show up and put up big numbers. Like putting up just standard, like acceptable numbers isn't good enough. Like when the whole team is run through you, and that's what Cold Zera is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this also means that we're probably going to see more from Fur and Stewie, which
Yeah,
I'm excited for. I want to see. I don't want to see Stewie be shit. Like it'd be a real shame if he went over to SK and just like was a bad player and they didn't win anything, or even not bum out of tournaments right now.
dude, I think that's looking like I think everyone regrets the Stewie move at this point because Stewie's not the problem, but he like if you're trying to fix this team with roster moves, he's gonna be the one to go.
Yeah, just because like I think the language issues are definitely hurting them right now. Just because they're like a team that's really based on chemistry.
Yeah, Andy was kind of a Hail Mary where they were just like, what star players are available? Fuck, fuck, fuck. And then just like sign Stewie. Like this team, especially like this cold move and then cutting Tucker and then picking up Stewie and trying to get simple and all that. It seems like they're just throwing a bunch of Hail Marys a lot of the time. Like this team is going down and they're not happy about it. But the like I don't know, I think they're pretty close to a stage where you just say blow it up, like blow up that legendary core of Fur, Fallen, and Cold, and just figure something out. Like I think you have to cut one of those big players sometime soon.
Yeah, and like it might just be Fur because like he's also hinted at retiring because of that ear issue that persists.
Yeah, and he's one of the older players as well.
Yeah, exactly. But like Fallen's old as shit. Like
Yeah,
Fallen's
that's
like
true.
28. Like he's been around forever, and I wouldn't be surprised if like he went into like I could see him going into coaching for this team.
Yeah, or even analysis, anything. Like he's like definitely going to be fine if he leaves, as well as he has a big brand in Brazil. So like I
Yeah.
think he's going to manage, but like for me, when you're looking at fixing this team, like the only thing I know is like Bolts has to go 100%. Stewie probably has to go, but even then, if you kick Fur, you could potentially keep Stewie. But I wouldn't. I think Stewie's gonna be back in the NA scene like within a year, definitely. Like maybe like
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah,
Because
like
I
this.
think if this was a mistake and he's just going to go back to probably even honestly, if you kick Skadoodle and just bring back Stewie, like
I wouldn't hate it. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you like,
you could do that soon because he's gonna like they're going to be moving to Immortals, and that's when his I'm pretty sure his contract doesn't last and is only until they're I think they signed him to one that was like 4 months or something, like till the whenever their one ends.
yeah, like, and it wouldn't make sense to be like MiBR and then have and then have an American on your team.
Yeah.
But
The other thing they
let's.
could do, sorry, the other thing they could do, I was gonna say, is they could do like another Hail Mary, and in July actually take Navi up on that simple deal where they could sign him then, because that would be the baller move. Is yeah, then you cut Bolts and Stewie, and then you sign Simple, and then just bring in like whoever the fuck. Like honestly, the problem now is it looks like Tucker would be great for this team.
Yeah,
Like bringing
real
him back
shame.
as a solid role player. Like I, yeah, that was a mistake because I don't think they realized how incapable Bolts was of being their Tucker 2.0.
Yeah, it's the future is not bright in SK.
Mm.
But however, it is also bright in SK because SK signed the NTC team with Phelps, FNX, KNG, and then like two other Brazilian players that are less known. So right now
Bits
SK has two
and
teams,
Zilong.
and
Yeah,
that violates a lot of tournament rules.
yeah, but tournaments they won't be going to, so fine.
I mean, yeah, that's true. They might not get the invite, but like this pretty much all but confirms that like this current SK roster is gone as fuck. Like we've known it for
Yeah.
months. It's just like been that secret no one talks about. But like it's a done deal at this point. Like everybody knows they're going to Immortals. Like they're gonna rebrand as MiBR. Like it's done. Like the writing might as well be on the paper now.
Yeah, those contracts are probably honestly just already signed, already happening. This is I think it's a good move for SK because because I've seen a couple people be like, "Oh, what a downgrade going from the best Brazilian team of all time to NTC." It's like, no, they're going from 0 teams to a good team, like because that team's already gone. Like you've already fucked that and lost them. Like, and I think this NTC team like are pretty legit because you're getting like God bless him, KNG. He might not like his methods, but god damn it, he gets results that one time. Except they didn't win the final, but they went pretty far. Like, but Phelps, fucking love Phelps. He's legit as fuck, and the rest of that team pretty solid. Like the twins are out of there, but
like
I don't
we're
know.
still gonna have KNG.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
I'm still
avoiding
worried
it.
about KNG. Like if like FNX, like and then again like because then you got FNX as well. He's probably not the greatest influence. Like Phelps apparently is a pretty chill dude and he's pretty quiet. Like maybe he can be a good influence on KNG, and
Yeah,
hopefully not. He's a bad influence on Phelps.
and like hopefully he never gets a girlfriend for FNX to fuck.
Yeah, that's allegedly, but that would be. And that cello guy, some people like I haven't seen enough of him, but a lot of guys rate that he's a young up and comer. Like he's been doing okay online recently.
All right.
I'm just hoping that Bit as like the veteran leader can hold them together and not have the personality issues in the past like tear that team apart.
I do like FNX though, and like I've
I
kind of missed
really
watching him
like
play.
him. Yeah, as like he's just like a really fucking solid guy to have on your team because he's like he just makes good decisions, great in clutch situations. He's that sort of player that doesn't demand a lot of resources but is able to get good production.
Yeah, like I think okay. So there's this old analogy in American football called if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. So right now SK has two teams, so they don't have a team.
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
All right. Uh, there's another team that's changed recently. OpTic. They're finally doing it. They're doing it big. They're going full Danish.
Which is I'm trying to remember because we talking about CS so much with our friends. I'm trying to remember if we fucking called this move because I remember saying that Yugi like OpTic should add them and North should add Yugi and Snappy, and OpTic just beat them to the punch. It's a great move. I love it.
Yeah, which means OpTic's the second best Danish team right now because North are
Yeah.
shit.
based on those like 3 or 4 online games with 150 ping, they are the second best Danish team. Those are the standards I'll give them, honestly. Like, and this is fucking terrible for North. Like, they shouldn't have sat on that team. They should have went for these guys because they have the money in that org. Like, because it's like earned by is it FC one of those Danish teams. I can't remember which one it was.
I
But
don't ask me, man. Don't ask me. Like I
they
bet like
have,
I couldn't name you half the teams in the Premier League. Don't ask me a question about a fucking Danish soccer team. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's fair play. They got a good logo though, I'll say. I remember that. But because that OpTic team just wasn't working for a million reasons, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to get to the end of like who to blame, and in the end I blame everyone because like Config and Cajun were being unreasonably douchey, but then Stanislaw had to be a bit more forceful and just like really take them by the fucking scruff of the neck and be like, we're going to make this work, you know? And
Yeah.
then there's like weird things, or I don't know what the fuck all the other guys in the situation
Like
were
the
doing. It
organization
was a real
mainly.
fucking mess. Yeah, it seemed like, I don't know, all I could see in my head was this like office situation where like Config keeps putting Shazam's like mouse and keyboard in Jello, and then Shazam's like calling Stan over, but then Stanislaw's trying to be, he's doing like this, he's just like, Stan, play not again. And then like Stan's trying to stay on the good side of everyone, so he kind of sides with Config and laughs at the joke, and is like, and then Config doesn't respect anyone who like who doesn't like fucking yell at him or whatever, because he wants everyone to be these hyper aggressive fees. So it's like those 5 players just couldn't work. Like, that's a good decision. Just be like, fuck it, we're selling them.
Dude,
Which
that
good additions for complexity, but
like who
yeah, you
cares
had
about
to blow that
complexity?
team up.
Like who cares about
Yeah, I don't
complexity
think we'll
though?
be seeing a ton of them.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to watch this OpTic team. Also, that office analogy was fucking fire. That was well played. You definitely wrote that down.
No, dude, I thought about that like when we're talking about we're talking about OpTic like 2 weeks ago or something in Discord. It's like, I don't remember that, but like, yeah, that's what I say. I just don't think those players can work productively. Much like Dunder Mifflin, are an outdated system and needed to just be blown up and replaced.
Yeah, but like this is finally the team that Hex can be proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the team he wants. Like, I think this is a team that can be consistent because they're going to actually respect Snappy, and they have some fucking legit players in Yuki and Config. Like, they have 2 fucking star players. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm still got questions about Cajun and Gade, but let's see. Like, and you can always make moves for some, because I think the heroic guys will be available because they're gonna be fucking like devastated now because they've lost like their 2 most impactful guys. But yeah, I don't know. Great business from OpTic. Like, they seem to, again, show they're a pretty competent org, despite some of the things that seem to be happening behind the scenes. They're at least confident on this front.
Yeah, hopefully we get them to land soon. Like I want to see what they can do, especially
Oh,
Config.
definitely.
Cause fucking
Yeah,
man,
I miss him so much.
on
I
land
need
talking
a
shit.
guy to shit talk people.
Yes, both shit talk and drop like 30 kills, being aggressive as fuck. Cause it's
You
so rare
know
that you
that,
get guys that drop like 30 kills consistently and are like aggressive as fuck.
dude.
Like
Like,
Nico and Nico Sports was
imagine.
that. They're simple, and like there's Config.
Dude, we can end up in a world where he will be playing against Simple, and you know that like Simple's trying to be new Simple, but if Config goes at him, he's 100% gonna retaliate. Like Edward can't hold him back enough. Like, he can't like that. Those 2 will go at each other, and that is what I want. Like, I want these like fucking bitter rivalries.
I'd be
I
so
want
here
I
for it.
want this team to be the bad boy Pistons.
Yeah, except they can't win any titles though, because the Straws are there.
Yeah, I don't think OpTic are gonna win anything with this team, but I think, yeah, I'm quietly confident, I'll say, about this
I
lineup.
Are they gonna stay in NA? Cause like, don't they still have that Pro League spot in NA, or
I
did they
think
get
they've said they're
relegated?
staying in NA. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
at least for now.
Yeah, so they're gonna dumpster some teams online.
Yeah, I want to see more of this shit. My boy Yugi on the up and up. I did say that, like, when he was on Trek, I used to say this guy is destined to be on like the second best Danish team. and like maybe Astralis one day if Device goes off the AWP. And now he is on the second best Danish team.
All right.
That's
Speaking of
another segment of Tom was right.
speaking of online play, let's switch to segments where we have the always emphatic nuts and pugs. So, Tom, what do we have for nuts and pugs today?
So in one way we have the team links in that we've got North, but in one way they came up very clutch because we didn't have a nuts and pugs segment until about 15 minutes before we recorded when I realized that this game happened. But in other ways they didn't come up clutch in the actual server because they played a series against AGO where they lost they 16-0'd AGO on AGO's map pick of Inferno, which is insane to do to any team really. But the problem is they lost the other two maps in the fucking series, which is the magic of online Counter-Strike.
I love it. Like I love it in the sense that I love Skip Bayless just absolutely fucking moving the goalpost for LeBron, because LeBron's like the most talented player to ever play fucking basketball, and he's super good, and I love watching him play. But at the same time, watching Skip Bayless just absolutely fucking like say, this guy's not that good, or like make the expectations so hard to reach that like no one could reach them.
Like, yeah, because he hit like that clip you linked to me today. It was like he hits a game winner. It's like, yeah, but they were tied. It didn't mean as much as when he hit one when you're losing. It's like, and then they're like, but he did that in game one. It's like, yeah, but it was game one. It doesn't mean as much as game 3 or 4. Like, what do you want him to do?
Additionally, I love it. Like he always said, like Kobe was so good at making hard shots, and LeBron makes a super hard running shot, and he's like, I mean, he could have made a better basketball decision. He could have not taken that shot. But then he's also criticized LeBron for making the right basketball decision and it not working because the guy misses the shot.
Like, he criticizes Bronta passing to great shooters for those shots to take like the game winner or the big shot, because like the guys who have better jump shots than LeBron, even though he's got an insane one at the moment. But then he says you should need to take the shot, but you need to take the best shot you can, but that can't be taken by another guy who's a better shooter than you. Like please, like it doesn't make sense.
It's so great. It's like
what more can he do?
It's the greatest. It's the greatest. Just like I hate this guy no matter what. How can I bend a narrative to meet that? It's so good,
honestly.
Dude, it's incredible. Like
it's
you have
really hard to do what he's doing.
It's a man at like the peak of his craft. Like he's honed LeBron hate for years, and like he's finally done it. He's cracked the code. Just keep making it impossibly difficult for LeBron to do what you want, and then he'll never do it, and you can always criticize him.
Him disparaging LeBron these last few years has honestly been like at the end of this season, he's probably gonna feel like when I might get the name for it, but like when Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, was him, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. After he finished that this is Skip's masterpiece.
His back's gonna hurt for just laying on it for hours, just painting the most intricate fucking biblical scenes.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get an extra good recliner in his game room.
I mean, like Skip better have good back health though. Like that man's a workout fiend.
That's true. Yeah, no, yeah, he's in good shape for. He looks old. He's one of those like old people who are doing well. So like, it's as much as we as a collective podcast love LeBron. We admire Skip Bayless's stretching.
All right. Let's transition to Please Watch the Podcast, where we try to get new viewers in to watch our wonderful chart-topping podcast that just doesn't do the numbers yet. All right. What do you have for us this in this installment?
So this actually links in pretty well to that last discussion of Skip Bayless, because I thought like I wanted to combine our format of hot takes and talk about competition with an event or topic that can draw in viewers. So I want to cast our minds back to the 18th of August 1994, the date of the 422nd Quidditch World Cup, where Bulgaria took on Ireland. And let me tell you that recurring character / Bulgarian seeker Victor Krum, huge bitch with a non. After a miracle run for a limited Bulgarian side going up the against a heavily favored Irish super team who rocked, nay, shamrocked their way to the finals. They're up like 170-10, right? And Victor Krum catches the snitch, right? Like they're trailing by 160 points, and he catches the snitch, which of course gets you 150 points and ends the game. But the problem is, if you're down by 160 points, you still fucking lose. Like the biased left wing media heralded Victor Krum as a hero for allowing Bulgaria to lose 170-160 with dignity. But this, for me, this is bullshit. This is a man who has no killer mentality. He has no drive to win. He has no faith in his teammates. And honestly, the thing he needs to realize is history forgets the losers and it remembers the fucking winners. Like, and I'm glad. Like, he will be lost to time because of this horrendous play.
Fuck.
He's a bitch.
Honestly,
Don't even get me started on Lev Zograf, the keeper for Bulgaria, who conceded 17 goals in this final and fouled the Ireland chaser Mullet via a cobbing to give away a crucial penalty when down 130-10. Joke.
All right. I did not expect that for Please Watch the Podcast. Well fucking done. You did your research. You went back, turned back the clock, and you did it about a series that both of us think is whack.
Yeah. Coward Krum would rather take this bitch loss than give his adoring country a chance at greatness. That's all I have to say about this guy. Also, fun fact, J.K. Rowling cannot do maths for shit. So the World Cup's meant to be every 4 years and was held in 1994, but it was meant to have started first in 1473.
That's impossible.
So, yep. It would have had to have started in the year 310, so it makes no fucking sense.
Oh, there are a lot more criticisms of J.K. Rowling that I have, but let's save it. Let's save it for just she's bad at math. Let's end it there. All right. Now let's start with a new segment that I thought of today, in spite of the wonderful events that transpired on Twitter. So last year, our good buddy Duncan Thorne Shields retweeted a selfie of a very attractive Asian woman. And that Asian woman tweeted at Thorin, "Please don't retweet this. Thanks." The harshest curve of all time for the entire timeline to see. And speaking of the entire timeline seeing things, Thorin today has retweeted two just straight up butt pics from the same person, and has also retweeted a Metal Gear eBooks tweet that says, "Well, ... she's got a very cute behind." This is a man that knows no bounds, has quote unquote no chill, if you will, and I think it's fucking creepy. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about so we were kind of talking about this. There's a difference I think between shooting your shot and doing it like this, because I'm here for shooting your shot. I'm here for liking people's selfies. Like I think that it's fine. Like I think it's bullshit that Twitter lets you see likes on the timeline now, which is one of the dumbest features ever.
Dumb.
No, it's so stupid. Like the whole point of likes is so that other people don't see it. And
now the whole point is, as well as it's a bookmarking system, like it doesn't make any sense for Twitter to show them, because like half the time I like something so I can come back to it.
I mean, now they actually have a legitimate bookmarking system, thankfully, but like you still don't need to show likes on the timeline. This man had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to lob these ass pics straight to the TL for everyone to see. And I really think that's fucking creepy, man. Like if you're gonna shoot your shot, do it in the DMs, do it in the mentions so like only some of us can see it. Like don't just lob it straight to the timeline so everyone can fucking see it. Like that's really creepy. I'm sorry.
To me, I it's definitely weird as fuck, and I wouldn't do it. But like, I respect any of that, because I saw DK liking some selfies recently, and that's like, to me that's like that's a bowler as fuck trajectory. He goes from being an engineer to just deciding to be an esports journalist to smashing ethos now. Like that's I respect that they're moving into this realm now. Like for me, I feel like though it's not it's not necessarily unintended when if someone is taking a picture that features not but their butt and then uploading it to Twitter, I feel like they can't get mad when people shoot their shot.
I mean, that's true, but there's other ways of shooting your shot than retweeting it to your timeline of how many fucking followers does he have? Like 100K?
Yeah, but that's the whole
He has
point though. I think
220,000 followers.
if you send the DM, that doesn't necessarily get the point across. But if you suddenly retweet it and it gets a fuck ton of attention because of it, you're pulling your Twitter follower clout, which as we know is the most important clout.
I just think it's really weird, especially considering the person that did it, because like Thorin's a really weird guy. I like his content. I hate his Twitter game though, and this is really weird.
Yeah, I love his content, but I respect Twitter as the wasteland, the fucking the no man's land that it is.
Like, oh man, like this is I can make this an entire other segment about how much I hate fucking Thorin's Twitter game. It's awful. It's really terrible. And like this is the only way I can derive enjoyment from it. Just him doing really creepy shit like this.
So this is the key to people with bad Twitter game is do what I do and follow like a million people. So I only see the shit that gets like a ton of likes. So like I only see like his interesting esports takes on Twitter. I don't see like whatever other mess he's doing.
I've muted a lot of the accounts that he's retweeted just because like I disagree with them so hard and like they're so fucking stupid. Like I just don't want to see that. Like I follow Thorin for one reason, and it's esports. And it's a real shame that he doesn't just tweet about esports. That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say that I believe Twitter as a place where all people should be able to express their messy opinions. Hashtag bring back Milo.
Fuck. All right, we're calling it there. The name of the podcast will be hashtag Bring Back Milo, and this is your fault.
God. Milo esports.
Ugh, this is a sick taste in my mouth. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks, folks.